Okay, we continue with Jesus for Enlightenment. And today's lesson is forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. So this is Jesus pointing the way to go beyond all suffering, because what is implied here is that suffering is rooted in unreality. You can go beyond suffering by seeking what is real. So in this passage from the Lord's Prayer, Jesus teaches on one of his main goals, to make people believe in a forgiving divine presence. In standard Christian belief, Jesus forgave the sins of the world and brought about a new covenant with God based on the forgiveness of sin rather than divine punishment. You need to ask yourself if this is what you experience. Do you feel that your past wrongdoing has been erased from your conscience? Have you forgiven others who have wronged you in the past? You know, one of my favorite sayings, if I may say so, is you forgive not necessarily because the other deserves forgiveness. You forgive because you deserve peace. So the teaching here is really about how to end suffering. Sin is the cause of suffering in the Christian model. As I said earlier, you cannot be forgiven your sins, and thus you cannot be forgiven your sins and thus released from suffering unless you are aware that you have been forgiven. The message of forgiveness has to reach you, and that requires the removal of whatever blocks it. So what blocks forgiveness? Guilt, anger, resentment, lack of self-worth, and isolation. If these obstacles can be removed, you will experience divine forgiveness. You don't have to adopt a religious framework. Forgiveness can be interpreted as coming from the presence of your being, the soul, sometimes interpreted as the unconscious or the spirit, whatever place you accept as the source. So try this today, this exercise. Guilt is a form of suffering, and the root of suffering is unreality. So in his teachings, Jesus constantly emphasized that his listeners did not know who he was or where he came from. They were trapped in an unreal vision of God and human beings alike. To forgive yourself or anyone else, you must move in the direction of reality. And what is reality? The divine presence, which is the source of all experience in all sentient beings. As described by Jesus, what's real is divine love and forgiveness and the infinite worth of humans and sentient beings on earth. You need to reinforce this reality in any way you can. Follow the golden rule and treat others as you would want to be treated. Be grateful for your life. Look for ways to appreciate others. All these things begin a process of purifying hidden feelings of guilt and resentment. Let these feelings come by. You don't want to mask them over, seeming to forgive when that is what you really feel. Again, seeming to forgive when that is what you really feel isn't productive. Seeming, pretending. If there's something in your own past that you feel especially guilty about, sit quietly and go through the following steps. Visualize what you feel guilty about. See the scene where it occurred. Feel the way it felt. Spend a few moments releasing your guilty feelings. If this requires you to cry, take a few deep breaths or lie down because your feelings are so intense. Follow your instincts, but don't indulge your guilt. Tell yourself that these feelings are leaving. Ask for them to be lifted from you. When you feel that you're directly confronting your guilt, tell yourself that all these images and sensations you're experiencing are nothing but memories. As such, they have no present reality. Don't fight to make them go away, since that doesn't work. Emotional attachments cause memories to linger, but emotions from the past are also unreal. They're shadows casting darkness on the present moment. Express a willingness to let go of what isn't real. Ask the old feelings and stuck energies to dissipate and return to their source. Listen for a response. Guilt, like any stuck energy, grows louder and stronger in the mind when it isn't heeded. It's like a microchip constantly repeating the same message. Don't mistake this entity for proof that you are bad and what you did will never be forgiven. The intensity is nothing more than a cry to get your attention. So pay attention, and as you do, express your sympathy and understanding. Having gotten this far, you are at the point of forgiveness. You have seen that suffering is a residue from the past built up from unreleased energies. Forgiveness is actually release. It isn't an act of moral courage or superhuman tolerance. The best metaphor is purification. Like letting cloudy water settle into clarity, your aim is to remove the haziness that keeps you from seeing who you really are, a soul free from guilt. Don't expect to remove all the murkiness all at once. This is a process, and you need to repeat it for a long time, or as long as you feel is necessary. Knowing that the process works, you will be confident that it will work. If you confront the shadows and ghosts of past suffering, present suffering will lift and a space will be created for lasting forgiveness. Thank you, my friends. Let me know if this is useful. And we will continue then.